Alright, this is a 2005 Chevy Equinox. Someone's folded down the back seat and the back seat won't go up. If you can see here, the seat belt is locked. So you might be able to pull it up a little bit, but of course the little plastic trim there is broken from trying to force it up. So the only way I found to undo it is to actually take the back of the seat apart and release the mechanism inside. Alright, take the back seat apart. Start by working your fingers along the seam. You can actually pull this plastic trim apart. It's the same thing along the sides. You just kind of have to work with it and see how it comes apart. You kind of roll the outermost edge out. You can see it comes up. Several plastic pieces have to be removed. Get your fingers under them. There's a lot of these black plastic tabs. I know they make a tool to get them out. You find a small pair of luminous pliers or even a pair of wire cutters, just pry them up. You're using wire cutters, make sure you don't squeeze and cut them off. And then you can expose the back of the seat, which has several more of these black plastic things. You can push down on the particle board and it's easier to get your tool under it. It'd be a good idea to take a Sharpie and mark the holes. Okay, like I said, this piece has to come off to get access to the bolts and things that you need. So that just... The fun continues. The linkage is underneath this metal bar. So this metal framework actually has to be unbolted. At some point you have to take off the headrest. In order to take off the headrest, you need a very tiny thin screwdriver or a really stiff paper clip. If you look at the headrest, there's a button here that you have to push in with your finger, and on the other side of this is a hole. Might be easier to show on another headrest. I'll show you on this headrest here. You're going to stick your screwdriver into that hole, or whatever tool you have, and there's a little spring-loaded catch that push it in and release it. You have to disconnect this frame, and if you look here, there's two bolts that have an 18mm head, so you need a wrench or socket, your choice. It's the same thing on both sides. There's two here, and the other two are here. There's a shoulder here on that bolt and this one. These bolts do not have the shoulder. Okay, now the frame is loose. There's a clip on this cable here. Just pop it off the little wire frame so you don't stretch it or break it. And then as you see, if you roll this over, here is the mechanism finally. It's locked. Alright, 18mm socket. Okay. It's a little tiny black pin. You push it with a small tool. What it does is when the pin is in the hole, it expands the plastic. It helps keep that cover on. Just push those off and try not to lose them. Alright, I don't know if I can explain what I just did there, but there's a little there's a counterweight here that helps work the seatbelt, you know, when you slam on a brake, it helps to lock it, but it also tends to lock it when the seat's folded down, if the seatbelt's been retracted too far. So there's a little catch in here, and if you release that catch, then, like, see right now I can't pull the seatbelt out, but if I slack, you have to slack up on it just a little bit, and then hold that catch, then of course I can pull the seatbelt out as much as I want. Alright, trying to get a close-up of this mechanism. As you can see, I can't pull the seatbelt out. There's a couple ways I can get it out. There's a little mechanism right here. If you push that down and then let off the seatbelt pressure just a little bit, then it'll come out. When the seatbelt's in its normal position, which is upright, you can see there's no problem. It moves in and out freely on its own. It's moving in and out. But for some reason, when you fold your seat down and this gets in this position, suddenly it's locked. This is not the same thing as if you pull it all the way out and it ratchets. This is something about that safety mechanism. And if you stand it up, let it go, and suddenly, you know, you can pull it all out. You pull it out far enough, now it's in ratchet mode. It's in ratchet mode, obviously you have to let it go. And you can see those gears have shifted somehow. Okay, now it's at the end of the ratchet mode, and it's back to normal. Alright, now what we need to do is pull a bunch of it out. Need to find a way to hold it so it doesn't retract anymore, and get a clip or a pair of vice grips or something. Hopefully you clean off your vice grips first so you don't get it all dirty. Alright, here you can see maybe where the little plastic button used to be, which prevented the seatbelt from coming in too far. So went to the auto parts store and got these buttons. I need gray ones, they only had black. So you need to pull the seatbelt out through the hole. Alright, so we got the seatbelt pulled out, and then try to put one of these button things on it. Put the black ones on now, and maybe find some gray ones later. So just push through the little hole. Back on it. It's getting dark, so it's a little hard to see here. Oh, I was able to squeeze it with my fingers. Now, that should stop the seatbelt. Next time the seat gets folded down, the seatbelt should stop, and that should prevent it from doing what it's been doing. Now, this device is locked right now, but that shouldn't be a problem. Should be enough slack now with that button installed. Just to stand the seat up. You do have to put this cover back on. Got these little plastic rods, I guess. They seem to be the same, not tapered or anything. You should just be able to stick them in the hole. Just push them until they're flush. this down, watch the cables, make sure they're not pinched or smashed. There's usually some little grooves here, indents. They've been sitting for years and years. This frame laying back down in position. Alright. We should be able to lift this seat up. Yeah, there's actually lots of play there. Alright, remember these two bolts. The ones on this side have shoulders on them. Make sure these are tight. Tight. Now we'll stick the cover back on. Get all the little fabric bits out of the way. It's kind of tucked in at the top a little bit. You should be able to see through the holes when it's lined up. Once you feel like it's lined up, take all your little plastic tabs, start putting them back in. Okay, once you have all the pieces on the back, see, it's a good idea to mark those holes. Fold this piece back over. Put this one oddball in. Alright, it's kind of hard to explain how these locks work. Once you get them apart though, I think that you'll see how they go. Push the one part down, tuck the other part into it, and then push down on with your fingers so you feel it lock. This piece goes down first, tuck it down. So it's like this, and then you roll the other piece into it, and then they should snap together. It's occasionally snapping. The back is pull up and then roll this into it, and then work with your fingers and you should hear it snap. And then these plastic things. Okay, and now fold the seat back up again. Put it in the headrest. Should not need any tools this time. So as we can see, this little plastic seatbelt stop, they call it, is what makes all the difference. And seatbelt hangs a little slack. I guess that must be the design. But now you can pull the seatbelt down. And now it doesn't matter. Now it doesn't matter that it doesn't come out because you have the slack.